Now I'm going to discuss ENFSI exercise 2, which is a major minor profile where the minor contributor is evidential. First of all, we look at the case circumstances. A policewoman was raped in a city of Europe and the suspect was detained after a few hours. The pathologist took a penile swab from the suspect and sent it to the DNA laboratory. The judge wants to know if the policewoman contributed to the penile sample taken from the suspect. Reference samples from the victim and the suspect are available for analysis. The first thing to do is to load EFM. And here is the GUI, and then from this I'm going to open the project file. And this automatically loads the data. So the kit is NGM select, population is Spanish. Here is the evidence, which I'll click on. Suspect and victim. If we want to view the evidence, click on here, and here you can see a list of the alleles along with their peak heights, and here is a GUI showing the electropherogram. It looks like a two-person mixture with a major minor contributor. Labels 1 for the suspect, labels 2 for the victim, so we can see that under the prosecution hypothesis the minor contributor is associated with the victim's profile. And underneath this representation here we have the peak height summaries, and this gives us the peak heights relative to the average fragment length. So if we have a classic ski slope representation here, then that means that there may be some degradation present, which indicates that the degradation model might be useful to interpret the evidence. So if we return to the GUI, go to File, Settings, and here are all the parameters which are set. So we've got a default detection threshold of 50, FST is 0.02, probability of dropping 0.05, the hyperparameter is 0.01. This defines the slope of the drop in peak height. The stutter proportion parameter, which we leave as it is, and the maximum number of loci which can be analysed here. And don't forget to make sure that the easy mode is clicked on and press save there. And then we just click on the evidence, the suspect and the victim, because we want to use those in our interpretation. Click weight of evidence, and then that takes us to the next tab, model specification, where we have the suspect and the victim. We're going to have 0 unknown persons there, and then under HD we condition on the suspect because it's a penile swab, and then press this button to carry out the calculation. And here under the MLE fit, let's look under the prosecution hypothesis. So the C1, C2 represent the two contributors. So C1 is the suspect under the prosecution hypothesis, and he is the major component, whereas C2 is the victim, and her component is around about 19% of the total. The likelihood ratios is log 10 to the power of 10, we are going to take notice of this parameter here, which is the log likelihood. This is minus 306, and what we're going to do is we're going to try different models to maximize the log likelihood. So let's try a different model. Let's try a degradation model. Leave stutter switched off. Carry out the analysis again. And as you can see, the log likelihood has increased in this example. Of course, the contributors are almost the same as before, 0.79, 0.2. And the log likelihood has slightly changed. It's now 10 to the power of 11. So the next step is to carry out model validation. Now what we expect here, we want these points to be approximately a straight line, and they need to fall within the envelope, which is a confidence interval dictated by this red line here. So provided these points fall within this envelope, then the model is a good fit. And we repeat the analysis, model validation under the HP, and again we see that this model is a reasonable fit. Now for the likelihood ratio that we actually report, we're going to carry out a sensitivity analysis where we evaluate the likelihood ratio across the errors in the parameters. And we're going to report the 5% quantile. So this is slightly reduced from the mean. It's log 10 9.75 compared with 11.3, but it is a conservative value that we need to report. If I want to save the results to the file, just press this button here, and then I can save the results, and then I can call that up later on if I wish. So that concludes the analysis of sample 2. In the next talk I'm going to go through this in greater detail using a PowerPoint presentation to show you more details about the analysis.